Hello, we are the students and staff from the Haston Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis. And a little bit about our school. We are one of the 2 Jewish day schools in the state and have a population size of about 150 students, from 2-year-olds to 8th graders. Today, we are going to be guiding you through our journey of the renovation and redesign of our Holocaust Museum, for which we use the design thinking process. My name is Alexis Konev, and I am an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
My name is Megan Friedel, and I'm a 7th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
My name is Iris Epstein, and I'm an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
My name is HHAI Schusterman, and I am an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
My name is Aviel Melrose, and I'm an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
So this is an excerpt from a documentary about the creation and renovation of our Holocaust Museum.
No sound.
So several teachers a couple of years ago went to a conference when we learned about creative design, and then we started building the museum. That's this video is about.
Okay. This is a short slides presentation about the renovation process of our museum and how we use the design thinking process.
So many different subject areas were utilized in the conception and construction of the museum, which made it a valuable learning experience for our students. When considering the location of the museum, students in math classes took dimensions of various spaces in our school. Many exhibits throughout the museum incorporate complex technology. Students made a train experience in which a visitor could feel the car moving across the rails under their feet. A rotating Jewish star that outlines the important events in the timeline of the Holocaust. And student art is displayed through the museum space as well.
The design thinking process was the pathway used to design each exhibit in our museum. After moving through the stages of empathy and defining the problem, students began ideation, during which they began to brainstorm exhibit ideas for the museum. There were no constraints on their ideas during this step, but throughout the process, students began the hard work of paring down their ideas to a viable and realistic exhibit.
As previously mentioned, the design thinking process was a cornerstone for our entire project. After moving through the stages of empathy, defining the problem, and ideation, each student group made a prototype of their exhibit and shared it with their classmates to garner valuable feedback. Students used all sorts of materials, putting our school's makerspace to good use. The day came and students shared their ideas and were open for criticism. Many questions and ideas were passed around that allowed groups to mold their final exhibits.
Following the prototyping stage, students were ready to test their exhibit ideas on an audience. They presented the process in which they developed their exhibits and how patrons of the museum would interact with it. Many exhibits were presented within the museum space, so students could better visualize their functionality. This was a fluid step in that students took the constructive criticism to continue to shape and improve their projects.
Our museum began as a 2-room space when it originally opened in 2011. As a part of this most recent renovation, we expanded into a 3rd room in our school, which allowed us to double the size of the museum. This involved breaking through a wall and constructing a wall within the new 3rd room to create a sense of separation between the exhibits. Exhibits were either completely overhauled or created from scratch. So there was a lot of construction inherent in the exhibits themselves.
Since the beginning of the process, students knew that there would be a trial test of the newly renovated space. A valuable partnership between our school and a local secular school was developed. 8th grade students and teachers came from this school to test out the museum. They went to each exhibit and carefully examined it. At the end, valuable feedback and constructive criticism was given, which students used to improve the space. At the time, the majority of the feedback was positive, which was a great confidence boost for the students. From the principal of the school that participated in the beta test, today was a powerful experience that has left a positron indelible mark on each of our souls. Thank you for sharing your brilliance, creativity, truth, time, and talent with us. We are in awe.
After the renovation of the Holocaust Museum, HHAI students and teachers planned a big reopening event for the museum. The event was open to all members of the community. On the day of the event, visitors toured the museum to see all of the updates that were made. To provide a fully immersive experience, a group of musicians came from Ball State University. To play Shtetl music and authentic Shtetl cuisine was available to all visitors. Visitors also got to view a documentary made about the museum, as well as hear a speech by World War II veteran Mark Haston.
A few months after our official opening in May, we took strides to connect and advertise to our larger community. We were privileged to have Ted Finney, the Director of School Services of Institute for Quality Education, come and visit our museum. Later, a group of a few of our students went to the Indianapolis Children's Museum to get ideas about exhibit development and how museums adapt and change over time. In early August 2019, an Orthodox camp from west of Indianapolis came to visit us. We also had local Fox News come and film a few students and teachers in our museum. Most recently, we have had a few college students from Ball State University come to our museum to work on a professional interactive video tour of our museum. Advertising has been a success, but we are never finished.
Students and staff were interviewed by our local Fox News affiliate. We were interviewed about the experience of building the Holocaust Museum, the process we went through, and how we felt about bringing the stories and experiences to life. Opportunities like this allowed us to reach a broader audience that could benefit from the valuable experience that we created.
As a part of our partnership with Ball State University that has flourished over the course of our museum renovation, students from the media corps at Ball State recently came to film and develop an immersive virtual tour, providing narration and high-quality video. Our students were able to participate and provide the narration for this virtual tour, which we hope to launch later this year.
Okay, before we continue, we don't know how many of you are listening to us or watching us. So if you have any questions, please put those questions in the chat and let us know what you think. And we will continue with description of our museum, more details about our poster, about what we have in our museum. So let's continue.
So this is our museum website. It is on our HHAI website too. It has all the information about our Holocaust Museum, and you can book dates to come visit it and have a tour.
It also has our entire journey catalog there with images and text to follow up, so you can get a broader explanation of everything we did over the course of the last 2 years.
It also has a link to a project that was done by 8th grade students this year about the Torah school featured in the museum.
Next we have the 360 virtual tour on ThingLink, where you can put tags on the site in a 360 or 2D version, and it can give you videos and photos that pop up once you click them.
And we will spend a little bit more time on this one, so we actually will show you how our museum looks like, almost for real.
So if you click on the tabs, like for example the video tabs, a video will pop up that you can watch, or you can also go to a different slide or pull up text and video and photos, and you can get links to websites off of this.
This is about Jewish life before the Holocaust.
Yeah, that is
right?
Jewish life before the Holocaust.
As well as this one.
And this information and videos that are here are the same things that we actually have in the museum.
That's a timeline created by students of the Holocaust that you can see and read about more thoroughly.
Use ThingLink again, right?
Yeah, the ThingLink was used for that.
If somebody doesn't know what ThingLink is, can you explain what
ThingLink is a platform that you can use images, videos, 360 pictures, and use tags to explain and demonstrate what each thing is. So what you're looking at right now is a 360 ThingLink.
This is a timeline made by our students. It rotates and narrates different events of the Holocaust, and it is a Jude star, one of the famous Jude star, and it's very interesting.
Here we have an exhibit about our teacher's mother and how she escaped the Holocaust.
And CoSpaces is a platform that is better for younger children because it's easier to code on it, because you do not have to type in the code. Rather, it provides you with different code blocks that you can code with, and it's a very good educational resource that we enjoy using.
Here we have a exhibit about Hannah's Suitcase, which is a book that was researched, a story that was researched, and right next to it is a simulation, which is what would you bring if you had 1 hour to pack.
This is the train car, one of the most interactive exhibits we have in our museum. We have a video actually on our poster that you can view us visiting it and go inside it. And you can, that basically reenacts what it would be like to be in a cattle car on the way to the Holocaust, or concentration camps, sorry.
Minus the beer. In this room, we have an exhibit that you would put your food that you would eat in a regular meal on a plate, and you would calculate the amount of calories. And then you would calculate the amount of calories in a regular Holocaust a regular camp meal, and you can compare the two amounts of calories and see how little food they really had.
This is a hologram that was created by your students. You cannot really see in these photos, but it also plays the poem I Never Saw Another Butterfly in both English and Hebrew, which is narrated. You can kind of see the butterfly in these photos, but it looks a lot better in real life, trust me. Then these are the barracks. No, okay. These are the barracks. This is one of the largest things that was taken from our original Holocaust Museum, and it really just shows a glimpse of how terrible the lives of the Jews were in the Holocaust.
Here we have an exhibit that shows the perspective of others. So we have a Jewish twin, a regular Jew, a Roma, and a defiant German girl. And it goes through their lives and their experiences in the Holocaust.
And we have this exhibit as separate
Yes.
link, right?
It's in diary format.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you can't really see from here, but there is a secret annex door that was created that
Right.
It's a bookcase, and you can move it to go through to the next room.
In this room, we have a lot of videos and information about different people who went through and their families of the Holocaust. And there's a lot of artifacts. We have a story from one of our former teachers.
Two, actually.
Two. We have artifacts from, like, we have a Torah scroll from a city in Czech Republic, and how it was rescued. We have a whole website about that.
It will take you to
We have artifacts from our principal's family and just family, like cigars, teacups, spoons, just from the Holocaust and from before and after. We have a video of one of our school's founders and his experiences in the Holocaust and his brother. And his book.
And then this is a reader's theater where you can put on costumes and then reenact different excerpts from famous Holocaust books. And we use a green screen platform which you put an image on, and then the green screen will basically turn into whatever the image is.
We have a separation and then another room. This room is based mostly on, no, it's not, never mind. We have generational stories, which is 5 of our students talking about their family stories in the Holocaust. It's very interesting to watch, and you can watch over here. But we're not going to do that right now.
These are, as we mentioned before, every year the 7th grade does a virtual tour, and these are the locations that were done in years prior, and a video tour of our Holocaust Museum.
And it's done in Firestorm.
It's done in Firestorm, which is a more advanced coding platform than CoSpaces, and has a more realistic rather than cartoony look. So here's a brief video of what some of our students did. As you can see, it's a lot more advanced than what younger children should be doing, but it's still very interactive and very, very fun. So.
These,
Paper.
Paper clips.
This is a exhibit where we redo the paperclip thing, where every visitor would come and put a paperclip on, and it shows how many people passed away in the Holocaust and how many people were lost.
And now we can never really, imagine just how many people died. Not only because of the Holocaust, but World War II in general. This is the Hope Tree. It's one of the final exhibits in our thing, and it is there to provide a tiny glimmer of light in the darkness that is the Holocaust. People write hopes that they hope either for themselves or for a larger community, and then take a piece of tape and stick them onto a tree.
This tree is completely constructed by students as well.
So here we have lights to remember, where I don't know if you light the candles, but it's a candle that each candle represents a different Holocaust, a person from the Holocaust who perished, and a child, and that we have to remember everyone. And there's a QR code on each of the candles about these people, so it's very fun. Not fun. Interesting.
This is a donation area where we tried to collect 6 million pennies for the 6 million Jews. This was a concept that was in the original Holocaust Museum and has been redone and reincorporated in our museum.
Here we have a video about the history of anti-Semitism. and from biblical times to present day. And yeah,
Highly recommend watching it. It is very interesting.
Oh,
and powerful.
Very powerful.
alright, so did we cover everything?
I believe so.
Okay, let's go back to right here. Yeah. So, are there any questions, Mrs. Burke? Do they ask us?
Most recent question is, did this renovation take place during a specific class or club or both?
Let me stop sharing, let me turn on before we continue to our
So,
space.
yeah,
Just a second, let's
Oh,
check
We'll
over here.
later.
Sorry. Second please.
Yeah, so
Alright, you can answer the question.
I believe we had a question about about which class period this would take place during. We actually during the school schedule we had an elective period built in which and that period was utilized so that different age groups and different kids from different classes would be able to work together to construct and redesign this museum.
And what grade level?
It was-
These students were grades
Grades
5 through 8.
We were.
Yeah, so it wasn't really a specific class because teachers from different subject areas would also collaborate on this project.
Yeah, for example, like at the beginning, our math teacher was very interactive in it, and he was measuring all the dimensions and helped us figure out where we should put the museum. And then more towards the middle, we had our technology teacher and our librarian, Mrs. Berg, help out more, and they really helped out with the filming and putting this stuff together. And then we have our 5th and 2nd grade Judaics teacher who is very good at building. He helped a lot with the Jewish star, the hologram and the train car. So really, it was very inclusive for all the age groups.
Yeah.
And teachers combined.
The main teachers that were kind of guiding us along this project were the ones who went to over the summer to the San Francisco conference, where they got the idea to do this.
Yeah.
So those are the main teachers who did it with us.
Also, like each group of students, which was around 2 to 4 students, had a teacher mentor who would help them through this entire process. And all the different teacher mentors had taught different subjects, and so we got a very broad view on how to make an excellent museum.
We originally did the whole renovation around 2 years ago, but last year we added the Hannah suitcase exhibit. Was that last year? No.
2
Sorry,
Two years ago.
But we're still. Have we added anything recently?
The Dauber's Tour Scroll exhibit is new. That was done in the last few months.
And virtual trip, that map with all your projects?
Yeah, the virtual trip is more recent too.
So the grand reopening was around 2 years ago, but we still added things to the Holocaust Museum.
Any more questions? Okay. So let's continue. Switch to content. We're going to show you some exhibits in details. Right here.
So these next few resources on our poster are actually exhibits in our museum, but we're going
Oh wait,
to
no.
just.
This is a video of
That
our
one's a
tour.
video, but the
next two
two
are-
are part of the actual museum.
Wait, the next two are virtual tours that we use different platforms. The first was Firestorm, which we talked about before, but I'll go over it again, which is a VR platform that you can practically build anything. And then CoSpaces, which is the next virtual tour, is what we use, is a simpler version of Firestorm, but it is different. It is a VR with more cartoony, but you can also create almost anything.
And you can use much more coding.
Yeah,
This
it's CoSpaces is much better for younger kids because you don't have to.
It's easier to understand all the coding.
It's easier to understand a lot of the coding, and they provide code blocks instead of you having to type the coding.
CoSpaces is more
This
of
exhibit shows clips of Jewish life before the war in Europe.
Yeah, CoSpaces is more where you would show a story, while Firestorm is a truly immersive virtual world where you can interact with other people and have like your own avatar.
And you can click on the button, the red buttons, and it will explain you what this exhibit is about.
Were there any public ordinances, safety, or insurance hoops to have to go through?
I
I
don't think
don't
so.
know. No,
If there
think
were,
so.
we didn't deal with that. At least the students didn't.
We did. The students didn't deal with it.
So, and then this one is a big. Let me stop the video. This is the big.
This is a ThingLink, which is a platform where you can incorporate images, either 360 or 2D, or videos, and then put little buttons that you can click, and they can have text on them, pictures, videos, links to other websites, and voiceovers.
So here we have
This,
previous and present, I don't know about present, but previous 7th grade students each go through,
And present, yeah, every year.
and present, go through, choose a city in Europe and research the Holocaust and pre-Holocaust and post-Holocaust
Hi, my name is Lynn Alcoby.
in that place.
Yes, this project is housed in the 7th grade technology curriculum.
So let's look.
so this is one of our students, Avia.
She can talk
You can
herself.
talk about herself.
Tell
Yeah,
what you
so I took a virtual trip to Białystok, Poland, and because of my family ancestry and great-grandparents are from there, and I made ThingLinks and I used other programs to show information.
And you also bought. You also bought tickets, right?
Yeah, we made tickets for
Not real one.
fake tickets for my trip to Białystok. My flight itinerary and the distance through plane travel and car travel from Warsaw, Poland to Białystok.
You use green screen, right?
Yeah, we use green screen and show different historical places,
Landmarks.
synagogues,
And
memorials.
then after part you learn a little bit about Yiddish
We learned about Yiddish.
language. And you can even click on some of those.
Yeah, we made I made more ThingLinks where you can click on.
Mensch.
Sound is scary, right? Okay,
Is
so.
it louder?
And then we have music, but the most fun was.
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, Yiddish foods. I talked about matzo brie, and I made a cooking video. Yeah, cooking tutorial of how to make it. And there's the ingredients.
All the students who did it made food that was coherent to the region that they presented on.
And then more research here, right? The history,
History of the Jews.
which you used.
We use a timeline.
Timeline feature.
Tiki-Taki is a website where you can make different timelines, and as you see here, it can provide very thorough explanations of the events on the timelines, and different images and etc.
And you research about the Holocaust itself. Again, this is part of this big map.
So each student made a whole website
World War
about their place. We just saw one person, but every person made.
This is yours.
Mine
So.
Yeah, that is mine.
And mine's up there.
And what is yours?
I did,
Alexis? Ukraine,
I did, yeah, that was mine.
Okay, Cherkasy, Ukraine. Yes. What we're missing here, Iris.
I did Venice, Italy.
Right here. Did I forget anybody? Megan is still working on it.
Yeah, my class is
Megan.
still working on our
Just
Argentina,
started, right?
Buenos Aires.
virtual.
You're going right here.
Argentina.
Right here.
Morley did Argentina.
Argentina,
Did I miss
Buenos
anybody?
Aires.
She did Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Yeah.
You
Buenos-
can't
okay,
see
we cannot
that.
show Buenos Aires here. Alright, very good. Let's move on. So that was English. Okay.
And then these are examples from the museum. They're actually exhibits inside the museum. So I think you
Yeah.
three were
Yeah.
all made these, so I think you guys should talk about it.
Okay, so I just want to talk this
Sure. So these were made by perspectives. We did the story of a Jew, the story of a Jewish twin, the
I'll stop
story.
video if it's scary. Let's see. Oh, good.
It
No
shouldn't
sound.
be.
Good.
It's just
Explain.
the story of Aroma and the story of a defiant German girl. I would like to point out that the defiant German girl is not a very common perspective. Most German youth probably would have gone along with the Nazi view, but we decided to bring a more unique perspective in because we didn't want to do anything that would be harmful or offensive to anyone.
We also have the story of a Jewish twin. We got a lot of our information off of Eva Kor's story. So that's me. But it just goes through diary. Although they probably would not have had diaries in the Holocaust because all of their possessions were confiscated. So just talks about the life of each of these people.
Should I keep talking? Do you guys want to say more about this, or should I move?
We really wanted to make this exhibit to show it not only, even though the Holocaust did affect a lot of Jews, it did affect other people, including Germans and Romas. So we wanted to have a little glimpse of other people because we often think of the Holocaust and we often first think of the Jews and how many of those were tortured. How many of us were tortured during the Holocaust, but there were other people, so.
It does not mention here, but during the Holocaust, people on the LGBTQ plus spectrum would have also been persecuted.
Okay, so that
And then, in the story of the girl who ran away from her life, you can explore her story through the virtual platform CoSpaces. We talked about that a bit before.
But it is a platform that is used for younger kids, and it's much easier to code with things that they call co-blocks, and very interactive, very fun. So.
Yeah, and we coded all the characters using coblocks and made the story more realistic using coding. So, yeah. It was actually the story of her technology teacher's mother.
And then this is a project that we are working on currently, the 8th grade, of the Dover Torah scroll that is in our museum. So we're using CoSpaces, which is an interactive platform. So we brought in our avatars, and this is an escape room that we did. And you can see all of us there talking.
then what do you need to do?
And so you need this is an escape room, so you need to try to escape. I actually do not know how to get out of this, so
You have to. You're gonna see if you run into a wall. Wrong way.
well, yeah.
So basically, there's only one way out, and you have to find your way out.
It is very confusing, but I guess escaping the Holocaust was very confusing, so.
I mean, it's confusing enough that the creators don't know what's going on. So,
Yes, and as you interact with different places, as you come to different places, there will be questions about Dobrish, the city, and these questions are designed with the fact that the person playing it, trying to do this escape room would have watched the rest of the presentation, which would give answers to all these questions.
yes.
So that's our newest exhibit.
Yes, this is our newest exhibit, and it's still an ongoing project.
Guys, this is really good.
areas to try. And we also used scan, right?
Yeah, we scanned our
Scanned
we were
ourselves.
scanned us by the other different
Let me
students
try
or
again.
teachers.
Yeah, this is,
So those are all of
This
our
is us.
avatars.
you guys here, right? That's your
Yeah.
3D scanner presentation. There you go. If you have any questions about that, we'll talk about it. We have special camera that does it.
Yeah.
Alright. So let's see how
So
sound
this
will
is
work.
our deportation train exhibit. This is bird beware.
So,
You can't hear anything.
no sound, that's okay. Just talk.
So this is our deportation train. That is one of the largest exhibits, and you can see us talking about it and take like a glimpse inside of this train car.
Yes, and that's us in there trying. This exhibit is designed to mimic the experience of going through a cattle car on the way to a concentration camp.
Of course, there would not be a flashlight. We did use a flashlight for a purpose so that you could see what we see.
And then there's a button that makes a recorded sound play over the speaker. And students talked about why they built this exhibit and like what the experience was like. And you can see on the wall it's painted. That's because they wanted to like represent as other people's shadows there.
Yeah, typically on the Holocaust and the trains would be much more crowded than this, which of course we could not do which of course we could not mimic because of COVID-19. But yes, it would typically be packed shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And then currently the 7th graders are working on their Eureka. No, this is us last year working on our Eureka World project. So you can see we are using Zoom and collaborating on Firestorm, which is a interactive resource that you can code and build stuff on. It's
Yes.
more of a virtual world.
It's more advanced than CoSpaces is. It doesn't use the same system, but it's, yeah.
You can see that the students are collaborating over Zoom to talk about their projects and be able to build and plan them together. So which truly brought students together during while we were on e-learning because we were able to collaborate a lot.
You can see that this VR program, CoSpace and Firestorm are pretty good when we have e-learning, right? I mean, of course we can do it in school, but once we are all in our houses, that kind of program actually will help us a lot to do a lot of good work.
This is Firestorm that we're looking at, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Firestorm, yeah. And after that, not related to our project, we created the Harry Potter world.
Yeah,
And,
not
and
at all.
did-
Treasure hunts.
and also created the escape room there, a
Yes.
scavenger hunt.
These projects were purely to be able to learn more about the program and also just
Not this one though.
oh, not this one. The Harry Potter programs were for us to learn more about how to use Firestorm and also just to create more interactive ways to be able to have fun and do it in an educational way.
Very good. So we covered all our exhibit and everything. So right now I'm going to switch to AV. And if you have, again I'm doing the wrong one. Sorry. Switch to AV and so if you have any live questions, our students can answer right away.
Should I do the
So that.
Should we do the structures?
Yeah, go ahead and just kind of run through who
Okay,
we are. for
so
those that
if
just
you
joined
are
us.
just joining us, hello. We are the students and staff from the Hasten Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis in Indiana. A little bit about our school. We are one of 2 Jewish day schools in Indiana, and we have a population size of about 150 students from 2-year-olds to 8th graders. Today, we are going to guide you through our journey of the renovation and redesign of our school's Holocaust Museum, which we use a design thinking process for. And I am Alexis Konev, and I am an 8th grader at the Hasten Hebrew Academy.
I'm Megan Fidel, and I'm a 7th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
I'm Iris Epstein, and I'm an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
I'm Chaya Schusterman, and I'm an 8th grader at the Houston Hebrew Academy.
I'm Avia Melrose, and I'm an 8th grader at the Haston Hebrew Academy.
We have a question. And what was your favorite part of the project?
I would say
Probably writing scripts.
One at a time. One at a time.
Megan.
My favorite part was the train because it looked so complex to make, and they made it look super easy. And it's just,
Do you want to explain what the train is?
the train is an interactive train where it like has a speaker over, replica. It's a speaker overhead that has students explaining the train cars and
Experiencing that.
yeah,
The
the experience.
deportation train.
Yeah, the deportation train. And then they actually have it where the ground underneath vibrates. So a lot of work was put into that train project, and I think they did a really good job. And I thought that was one of my favorites. Yeah.
So, okay. So, my favorite part, not to be biased or anything, but I really am very happy with the outcome of the exhibit that I worked on with two of my peers are actually sitting right behind me. But we did the diary entries of different people in the Holocaust, and at the beginning, we wanted to do this whole like story and different these different episode things where one of us would run away from home, and one of us would be in the woods. Then we would meet up, and we had these very.
we basically wanted to make a movie.
Yeah, we basically wanted to make a movie or a TV series of our characters. And when we were told that that wouldn't happen, we were very upset. But I'm still very pleased with the outcome. So.
My favorite part, I really enjoyed actually I did one of the electives after the actual big presentation of the museum. I really enjoyed that because I got to help market the museum, and I got to help like finish up and help paint stuff, which I really enjoyed because I got to hang out with my friends while doing it, and I got to grow closer to the people I was doing it with.
My favorite exhibit is the train exhibit, like Megan did, but my favorite part of doing it all was probably writing the scripts, even though they were not used, but writing the scripts, it was fun to kind of make up stories based off of facts, and yeah, that was my favorite part.
I also enjoyed the train exhibit because it was really interactive, and it puts you in the world, in the Holocaust, in the train. But I liked the whole thing. But what I really enjoyed was being able to interact with the other students in organizing the whole thing, and the teachers being able to meet up with them and working with people that you may have not worked with before to really create something wonderful.
Yeah, it was really nice when you finished your project for the day and you could go help people with other complex projects, because you could hang out with more friends, but you could also learn about different experiences other than just the one that you were explaining.
What was also unique about the fact that we brought students from different grade levels together. Typically during a school day, we're not interacting with students for different grade levels, and so it was nice to be able to work with people who usually didn't have the opportunity to work with.
It was also really inspiring to see this 2-room Holocaust museum that was opened how many years ago, and it's now modernized and interactive, and all because 4 of our teachers went to a conference in San Francisco and then made us work on an exhibit, which we did end up enjoying, but the fact that we lost our elective periods for a trimester is not the best.
Yeah, the outcome is really worth it.
It's very
Yeah.
inspiring.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Okay, so we have time to run through again, because for those people who just joined us, you know what's happening right now, girls? So it's not like people are stay there for a long time. It's just people come and go. So we will probably repeat our slideshow. Yeah.
Okay.
So go to switch to the front.
Good reply.
It's on your log.
I know it was on your dress.
Right here.
Stop.
You're getting a great work And yes, awesome job to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that the comment you get?
Iris, turn off your notifications.
Okay, so watching us, we have 30 more minutes.
Before we jump into this, was there a skill you walked away with that you didn't think you would?
Yes, definitely. So in our group, we were 3 6th graders. This was 2 years ago. And we were paired with an 8th grader at the time who is now in high school. So we were a very close class. And to be paired with somebody who we did not really know and interact with on a daily basis for the past who knows how many years was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I really learned to try to take other people's opinions in this experience because other people do have opinions.
Yeah. Also, in their school, we kind of have this like fake arguments between the 6th and the 8th graders. So that just kind of added to the dynamic. But it eventually worked out, and I'm glad we got to work with her because she had a lot of really valuable ideas.
Just walking away with the ability to work with people very different, or not even so different, but different from us. Just, it's a very valuable talent, not talent.
Talent.
No, what's the word?
Resource?
Resource
Um,
to have.
I think something that I learned was definitely how to use code spaces better because I was good at it, but I really got a lot better after doing that project. Because we worked on that project for a whole trimester, every Wednesday at the end of the day, so that was 2 months, 3 months of that.
Yeah, 3 months, and then we had
3
electives
months.
after that.
So we all got really good at what we were doing, and the whole thing was a valuable experience in all honesty.
I feel like after the whole experience, I think about situations more creatively, and I'm able to bring a creative aspect to it because of all the design thinking that we've put into all the exhibits and creativity. Yeah. Any questions?
Very good. So let's switch to the screen and we'll show. So once again, in our poster, you can see the overall video, demo video about how the project was created, all the story, and this is also a Google slideshow about how our journey, how we create our museum, and a lot of other interactive exhibits you can see here. Okay, so let's.
Many different subject areas were utilized in the conception and construction of the museum, which made it a valuable learning experience for our students. When considering location of the museum, students in math classes took dimensions of various spaces in the school. Many exhibits throughout the museum incorporate complex technology. Students made a train experience in which a visitor could feel the moving car underneath their feet. A rotating Jewish star that outlines the important events of the timeline of the Holocaust, and student artists displayed through the museum space as well.
The design thinking process was a pathway used to design each exhibit in our museum. After moving through the stages of empathy and defining the problem, students began ideation, during which they began to brainstorm and exhibit ideas for the museum. There were no constraints on their ideas during this step, but throughout the process, students began the hard work of paring down their ideas to a viable and realistic exhibit.
As previously mentioned, the design thinking process was the cornerstone for our entire project. After moving through the stages of empathy, defining the problem, and ideation, each student group made a prototype of their exhibit and shared it with their classmates to garner valuable feedback. Students used all sorts of materials, putting our school's makerspace to good use. The day came and students shared their ideas and were open for criticism. Many questions and ideas were passed around that allowed groups to mold their final exhibits.
Following the prototyping stage, students were ready to test their exhibit ideas on an audience. They presented the process in which they developed their exhibit and how patrons of the museum would interact with it. Many exhibits were presented within the museum space, so students could better visualize their functionality. This was a fluid step in that students took the constructive criticism to continue to shape and improve their projects.
Our museum began as a two-room space when it originally opened in 2011. As a part of this most recent renovation, we expanded into a third room in our school, which allowed us to double the size of the museum. This involved breaking through a wall and constructing a new one within the new third room to create a sense of separation between exhibits. Exhibits were either completely overhauled or created from scratch, so there was a lot of construction inherent in the exhibits themselves.
Since the beginning of the process, students knew that there would be a trial test of the newly renovated space. A valuable partnership between our school and a local secular school was developed. 8th grade students and teachers came from this school to test out the museum. They went to each exhibit and carefully examined it. At the end, valuable feedback and constructive criticism was given, which students used to improve the space. At the time, the majority of the feedback was positive, which was a great confidence boost for the students. From the principal of the school that participated in the beta test, today was a powerful experience that has left a positron, indelible mark on each of our souls. Thank you for sharing your brilliance, creativity, truths, time, and talent with us. We are in awe.
After the renovation of the Holocaust Museum, HHAI students and teachers planned a big reopening event for the museum. The event was open to all members of the community. On the day of the event, visitors toured the museum to see all the updates that were made. To provide a fully immersive experience, a group of musicians from Ball State University came to play shtetl music. An authentic shtetl cuisine was available to all visitors. Visitors also got to view a documentary made about the museum, as well as hear a speech by World War II veteran Mark Haston.
A few months after our official opening in May, we took strides to connect and advertise to our larger community. We were privileged to have Ted Finney, the Director of School Services of Institute for Quality Education, come and visit our museum. Later, a few of our students went to the Indianapolis Children's Museum to get ideas about exhibit development and how museums adapt and change over time. In early August 2019, an Orthodox camp from west of Indianapolis came to visit us. We also had local Fox News come and film a few students and teachers in the museum. Most recently, we have had a few college students from Ball State University come to our museum to work on a professional interactive video tour of our museum. Advertising has been a success, but we are never finished.
Students and staff were interviewed by our local Fox News affiliate. We were interviewed about the experience of building the Holocaust Museum, the process we went through, and how we felt about bringing stories and experiences to life. Opportunities like this allowed us to reach out to broader audiences that could benefit from this valuable experience that we created.
As a part of our partnership with Ball State University that has flourished over the course of our museum renovation, students from the media corps at Ball State recently came to film and developed an immersive virtual tour, providing narration and high-quality video. Our students were able to participate and provide narration for this virtual tour, which we hope to launch later this year.
Very good. So I would say that probably if you want to get overall information about this museum, the best tool that covers everything would be the museum website.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Because it actually
There's
covers
links to everything.
it covers everything that actually in our poster. So if you just go to school website, there are virtual tours here.
Yeah, it also has a way to book visits to the museum.
Right. So that's a virtual tour that also in our poster. This is tour with Firestorm and tour with CoSpaces. Correct? Then if you look at museum updates, whatever we showed you, told you in the slideshow, you can actually go through the very beginning. Very start, how teachers learn about that, everything what we showed you and further beyond. Right, so click on each date and see how our museum was built. We have also our latest project on a Torah scroll it also has quite a few interactive designs here by this student that's sitting in front. And here you can schedule our museum. Obviously it's not open right now by person, but most of you probably wouldn't be able to come by person because you're not in Indianapolis, right? So you can go to our virtual tours and see everything. Okay. All right, we have a few more minutes. I'll switch to the live view, and you can ask your final questions.
Can you press a little person before we can see the people who are watching us?
Say it again.
Press a little
Press the timer, press the timer.
This one.
We currently have no one.
Okay.
So we're just
But
talking.
that's only within the last minute or so.
So we're just talking to no one right now.
We had anywhere
I know.
between, hold on, I can't, my echo. Anywhere between 8 and 10 participants
Oh,
at one
nice.
time.
Oh, that's
Is that
great.
good?
Including a member of the ISTE Board of Directors. He said,
Nice.
thank you for sharing, thank you for presenting.
Wonderful.
Facebook had like 6 people on it.
Oh wait, we have a person.
Okay. So we have a few more minutes until they close us.
2. We have 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
Thank you for
Alright.
that.
So you guys, I think you guys did amazing.